want to talk to you a little bit today to go over what I'm going to be doing in France at the Cannes Longevity Cannes, if you're from Spain. What I'll be doing at the Longevity Summit. I want to talk a little bit about the Longevity Summit. I wanted to talk a little bit about my small group and what we're going to talk about. I have a meeting actually with my small group at 10:30 today. I also want to go over just briefly the importance of data. And I can't emphasize this enough. In any field of medicine, especially something like longevity medicine, which reminds me, it's very reminiscent of obesity medicine, which also I'm board certified in. It's this amalgamation of multiple different specialties. But what's not so unique about longevity, because we also saw it in obesity medicine. We have functional medicine practitioners. And what is a functional medicine practitioner? Well, that's someone that thinks about the function of the cell, the function of the organism, and how the cells that get bigger and make tissues and turn into organ systems affect the organism. Rather than just focus on one organ or another, like a cardiologist or a nephrologist, functional medicine focuses on the function of the cells and the organ systems as they interact with each other in the organism, which is you, a human. And so we're going to see a radical shift in this field. There is a piling on of people who actually have really good data in what we call the regenerative medicine space for injuries like an elbow or a wrist or a shoulder or a knee. They're called orthobiologists. And so in our longevity docs group, we're seeing some more orthobiologists like myself in the space. We're also called regenerative medicine doctors. Why? Because we help you regenerate your tissues. The data from regenerative medicine is excellent. The data from functional medicine is not nearly as good. And that's okay because in a field like genetics, which also I trained in, the evidence is in a small number of people. Well, how can you make the evidence bigger? How can you do more studies? And that's what I'm working on with Dr. David Liu at the Longevity Docs, is to create registry data. Why? Because that is how we got great data in orthobiologics. We have a registry. And so in the registry I'm involved in, it will be with GLP-1 medications and longevity. So we're going to look at the longevity hallmarks. Why? Because GLP-1 medications can reduce brain inflammation. We also see them influence something called cellular senescence or zombie cells. And one of the hallmarks of aging is loss of stem cells. They become senescent, they become zombies, and they can become inflamed. So in my small group, I'm going to follow another orthobiologic regenerative medicine specialist, Dr. Pradeep Albert, who's going to talk about stem cells. In my small group, I'm going to work with Dr. Matthias, and they're going to go over their process for creating stem cell lines to use in people. So, what is this longevity docs group? Well, put simply, it's a group of over 400 doctors globally, all over the world. So, 400 doctors globally. What does that mean? That doesn't mean much. There are over 1 million doctors, physicians in the United States. Globally, there are 400 of us. I'm sure there are a lot more, but they keep coming over time. Why? Because what we're doing is providing education and best practices. And if you are an interested doctor in longevity, you should join the Longevity Docs, and you definitely should follow our group. So, what's going to happen in France? Put simply, a massive uniting of our global community. We are going to see a really great keynote talk from Dr. Eric Verdin at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging. And he's going to lead with, guess what? Why we need data. why we need research. We need grounded decision making in real world clinical data. The FDA is so important for real world clinical data now. This is one of the problems we see with a lot of devices or medications. If you don't have real world data or a registry, you don't know what's happening when the FDA has unleashed a new medication, a new vaccine, a new device on the population. You have to monitor and track it. And we have to do that in longevity medicine. Next up is going to be very interesting. We're going to have Naveen Jain, who is the CEO of Viome, and he's going to talk a little bit with Dr. Liu about thinking like a health pioneer, thinking like a physician who can build high impact longevity practices. After that is one of my favorites. We're going to have Dr. Yurth, where she's going to talk about cellular optimization. Like I said, functional medicine people fusing with people like myself, genetics trained physicians, molecular trained physicians. I have an appointment in the Department of Anatomy and Cell Biology at New York Medical College, and for years have taught medical students traditional medicine pathology. And what is it? It's cellular optimization, mitochondrial issues. It is understanding the pathways of the cell. It's cell biology. And so a lot of functional medicine doctors do that. In addition, after we talk about how to optimize, well, you have to measure. And so what's amazing is we're going to have some great doctors that will be going over the different labs that you can test. I actually have a whole bunch of biomarkers and protocols that I help people design and implement. And in fact, just today, I have a great physician working with me who will be part of what I call the Founders Club. And so the Founders Club is where I take my time to teach and train individual physicians on a week by week basis, and then monthly coaching through longevity medicine. We go back to pathology. You open up your Robbins again. We review pathological stuff. We review cell biology, and we review how that works in real world medicine for longevity. And I'm really excited about Conover Wellness and Dr. Craig Conover going over peptides. Why? Because peptides have a lot of hype, but they also have a lot of promise. And that promise gets delivered on a daily basis when you test, track, and monitor. Peptides are going to be a big part of not just longevity medicine, but also chronic diseases like long COVID, like Lyme disease, like immunosuppressive disease, like inflammaging. And you guys have read all about all of that stuff. So that's just the morning of the first day. The afternoon of the first day goes through looking at GLP-1s as a longevity drug. And one of my great friends, Dr. Kuo, and another one, Dr. Hussein, and another one, Melissa, are going to be going through. Oh, and also I forgot Jeff Cook, the CEO of Noom, are going to be debating the benefits of GLP-1s. I wrote a book on this. Here's the TLDR. GLP-1s are a longevity drug, not just because they help you lose weight, but they help regulate inflammaging. They work in the brain. They also work on your cartilage. And that's a little secret. Don't let a lot of people know. I'm just kidding. Tell everyone GLP-1s help cartilage. And when you're looking at cartilage, you also have to think about the rest of your connective tissue. In this case, we are going to see a really amazing presentation by the Chief Innovation Officer at L'Oreal, right? Skin, how skin tells the story of your biological aging. Can you imagine all of these physicians finally focusing on skin as a hallmark of our quantum measurement of how aligned we are in life? We know that skin plays a big role in our body. In fact, I've got a great friend and dermatology group, Debbie Pruzan-Klein and Severin Chevelle, here in Stanford, that are medical dermatologists. They will look at your skin and they can tell you what's going on in your body. It's remarkable. And so we're really fast approaching the unification theory of the organism as a holistic functional organism through different specialties. Why? Because in each specialty, what we're learning is that the language of the cell matters. And that's a language we all have in common. So if all of us can get together and focus on the cell, we can focus on affecting pathways, which is a much bigger effect. The afternoon, one of the really amazing things about the afternoon that I am so excited for of the first day, this is just the first day, will be the senior manager for NEOM, which is, he's actually the health system designer for NEOM, which is a futuristic city design. And his name is Muhammad Al Hamad. Now, he will be talking about the health design in NEOM. In addition to that, we also are going to have the commissioner of the New York City Department for the Aging designing a city, New York City, to be healthily aged in is a huge challenge, right? You've got microplastics, you've got toxins, you've got mold in all of those buildings. You have parks, but everything, the city is encroaching on the parks. How do you preserve them? How do you make sure that you have the right doctors in the right place to help support these people? And aging healthily in a city is exceedingly difficult. Getting medical care for medical conditions in a city is actually great, but aging and preventing medical disease is horrible in a city. And there are very few practitioners in the city. I think of Dr. Primus or Dr. Quo or Dr. Paulvin or all these other doctors that I know. But guess what? There are only a handful of doctors that are longevity doctors in New York City. Okay. So that's day one. Day two, you guys want to listen to day two? I'm going to give you the roundup for day two. Right. So day two starts at 6:30 in the morning with a swim in the Mediterranean Sea. Cold plunge, anyone? That's pretty cool. And then we're going to go over coffee. And, one of the things I think is important about coffee is it's an anti-aging drug. It's got anti-aging components in it that are very, very useful for us. And so we're going to have a coffee talk. Right? It'll be pretty cool. And then one of my favorite doctors, Dr. Amy Killen, who's the chief medical officer at Humanot, which is down in Austin, but they're expanding everywhere. Number one, and number two, Amy's been everywhere. She again, like I said, regenerative medicine doctor. A lot of the doctors in the deep stuff, Dr. Yurth, Dr. Killen, Dr. Albert, myself, are regenerative medicine doctors who have been doing orthobiologics, injections of biologics of your own tissue, and sometimes in other countries, different tissues. And she's going to be talking about hormones and a hormone framework for understanding things. Why? Because she has been doing hormones for a very long time and she knows best practices. So I'm really excited for her clinical guide and clinical playbook. We then will have some surprise guests. So I wonder who they are. It's a surprise guest fireside that'll happen in the morning. And then Dr. Albert is going to talk about stem cells, exosomes, and PRP. I'm here to tell you right now, there is no one who cuts to the quick better than Dr. Albert in this space. And right after him is my small group, and we talked about that. After that, something very interesting is we're going to have a real talk about gene therapy. There are people going to other countries receiving gene therapy to modulate their body. Now, there's some people on this list who are going to say, oh, you already got gene therapy with mRNA vaccines. I'm going to table that for a second because that's a debate for another time we can talk about. But don't get me wrong, there's monitoring that has to be done. But Dr. Sewell and I have worked together on patients and in mindset for best practices for delivering gene therapy to optimize your longevity, to optimize your health. And he will be going over gene therapy, what everyone needs to know now, not 10 years from now, which is funny because the geneticists, we keep over promising everything. And, we find out that not everything is your genes, but you can create great effect with gene therapy. And then next is Dr. Darshan Shah. Dar is awesome, right? He is a longevity expert, and his program Next Health is world leading. After this, we're going to do some nitty gritty talking in day two about people who want to scale their practice. As an aside, I'm not a scalable guy. That's just who I am. But there are a lot of people trying to democratize longevity. I think that's amazing. How? Well, they have to get money. So investors are going to talk to us about that. And then artificial intelligence specialists are going to talk about au- automating processes and optimizing scale. And that's very, very, very exciting. We have people from Italy. We have the CEO of Healthy. It's going to be great. Next up are, my God, four of my favorite longevity doctors and Dr. Evelyn Bischoff, who is an integrative oncologist who I absolutely love. I don't mean she's not my favorite, but we're talking Goya Dor, Betsy Yurth, Jack Krendler. We're talking Tam Lewis, some of the very best in the space. And you'll see them on LinkedIn interacting all the time, giving best practices and advice. And what are they going to talk about? The elephant in the room, right? The fight that happened between Eric Topol and Peter Attia, rapamycin, which I think Dr. Topol is not aware of the data on. Metformin, which is another hot debated longevity medication. Senolytics, like dasatinib and um, quercetin. And so just one of my patients sent me an article about, oh no, dasatinib accelerates aging. Well, that's bullcrap, right? I looked at the study, and this is a problem about data. It's not statistically significant, and they didn't use the dose that we use, which is 100 milligrams of dasatinib. Further, the newer generation scales didn't show changes at all, which I think is interesting as well. And I think maybe it wasn't powered for that. But they're going to talk about that as well as NAD, which is a little bugaboo that I have because NAD infusions are taking off all over the place. There are real good effects from supplementing NAD, but there are also side effects that need to be monitored and tracked. And that's why when we do NAD, we put people on 1-methyl nicotinamide. So we're going to talk about all of that. That's it in a whirlwind. And I am going to be right there, center stage, covering all of these topics, covering what is discussed for you guys at the Longevity Docs Summit in Cannes, France, Cannes, June 25th to 26th, just next week. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you focus on three things. One, get good sun at the right time. Two, love your family and friends. Three, get sleep. Focus on those three things. A lot of the other stuff works out. I will see you guys in a week. Here's to a life well lived.